Alrighty, so I wanted to come on here and give a final grade on the 2025 49ers draft class. Um, I'll be the first to say this. When it comes to the defensive side of things, I think they absolutely nailed the draft. Did they reach on a few picks? Probably. But I do think when it comes to what Robert Saleh and this defensive staff kind of did throughout this draft, they nailed every need possible with the right players. You look at the Mykel Williams pick. I like the pick, right? Like, there's a lot of guys that could have been justified there, but they got a top 2, top 3 edge rusher in this draft at pick 11. That's going to complement Nick Bosa on the opposite edge very well. He can set the edge. He's got long arms. He's built. He's massive, right? Like, he's a massive edge rusher. I think he's going to be a problem. And I think working with Chris Kocurek and the 49ers defensive line coaching staff with Robert Saleh, I think the sky's the limit, right? Alfred Collins, Nick Martin, CJ West, liked all those picks. I think the defense absolutely blew the draft out of the water. Like, I think they nailed almost every pick. There was a couple reaches like Upton Stout, absolutely. You can maybe even view Nick Martin as a reach. However, all these players that they drafted fit the scheme perfectly. They fit this wide 9 scheme perfectly. And if they are developed right, they're going to be problems for the 49ers for years to come. And I do think the 49ers have the right coaching staff and one of the best coaching staffs in all of football. So I don't see why that's going to be an issue. When it comes to like the offensive side of things, it's shaky, right? Like, I think from picks from rounds 5 and on, the draft got really weird. I really think leading up to the CJ West pick, the 49ers probably had an A for the draft. But what they did in rounds 5 to 7, really from rounds 4 to 7 following the CJ West pick, it got weird. Some of those picks could be good in the long run. I wish they would have drafted more offensive linemen. That's one thing that and they talked about that, right? Like they basically kind of answered the question as like, well, we wanted to take some guys there, but it just didn't really align that well. So like, clearly whoever they wanted to take with those picks on the offensive line, those guys, like, they got taken before the 49ers wanted to pick, and then they kind of just used best player available at one of the areas of need on this team. You know what I mean? Like, maybe some of those offensive linemen that they wanted to take got selected, and they just were like, all right, let's just take the best player available. So, offensive side of things, I don't think it was a great draft for the offensive side of things, but Jordan Watkins could be a good player. I think he's going to be their vertical threat, along with like Demarcus Robinson. But obviously, Demarcus Robinson's likely going to be suspended with that DUI that he had in January. So, I don't know. I think if I had to give the 49ers a grade, I loved every pick leading up until really after the CJ West pick. I think all of those picks were very good selections. So if I had to grade the 49ers draft, I think I would go with the B+. I think they had an A-, but what they did after the CJ West pick was kind of a little weird. However, I do like the Marquise Sigel pick. I think he could be a good player. They need safety depth with Mustafa going to be out. They did sign Richie Grant and Jason Pinnock, but I don't know. I definitely think rounds 5 through 7 could have been a little better, in my opinion. So I love what they did defensively. Offensively, I don't really know how I feel about it. I think we're just going to have to kind of wait and see, but yeah, I love the Mykel pick. I love the Alfred Collins pick, CJ West, Nick Martin. I think all 4 of those guys are going to make immediate impacts for the 49ers. Nick Martin is coming off of that ACL injury. I've talked about this a few times already, but learning from Fred Warner and being coached by Robert Saleh, sky's the limit for him. And then you just the Alfred Collins and CJ West. Chris Kocurek is going to have those boys looking good, in my opinion. And then you add, Robert Saleh's knowledge on top of that. I'm serious, man. I think the 49ers blew it out of the park defensively. I think CJ West, day 1 starter. Alfred Collins, day 1 starter. We'll see what happens with Nick Martin. Obviously, he'll be competing with D. Winters for that linebacker job, aside Fred Warner. So we'll see what happens there. I'm intrigued by that competition this offseason as well. But yeah, when it comes to the defensive line, which was one of the 49ers' biggest weaknesses, when it comes to their run defense, I think they blew it out of the park. So I would give them a B plus overall for the draft. I thought this draft was really good for the most part. So B plus is what I would give them. Let me know in the comments down below your guys' draft grade on the 49ers. And yeah, as always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.